Hello guys, this is your Uncle Big Fish, and on this video we're gonna be talking about the Frost Guardian build. Now this is a mid-game build, so you do need to clear up to the end of Thieves of Chill's Curse to get one of the items on the set. However, most of the items required for the build should be available a little sooner. That being said, let's get started. The Frost Guardian build is a very heavily strength invested build that centered around dealing massive physical damage alongside frostbite buildup. Now, before we get started, we need to know first what frostbite does. Now, frostbite buildup or frostbite is a status effect that when afflicted gives two extremely potent effects. One, it deals a burst of HP percentage damage to the enemy, and now, the second part is a bit different. To players, it will halve their stamina bar. But on monsters, what it will do is, it will reduce an enemy's posture meter by about half. I'm not very sure of this, but during testing, it does take half the amount of time and attacks to completely drain an enemy's posture to zero. That leads to extremely powerful Grievous attacks. Now, the build is centered around the Kinranger Guardian Axe. Now, this is an axe with 150 frost buildup, so it's pretty good, and it has B scaling and strength. Now, this is going to be pretty much your main weapon, and for the pendant, we will actually be boosting its physical attack by 10% and give yourself a 10% defense by using the Warrior's Claw. Now, this will really boost up your damage, but we're not gonna stop there. We're actually gonna keep on adding this nonsense until the build starts to take shape. Next will be the Yorick's Ring. Now, this Yorick's Ring can be found quite late into the Feast of the Chill's Curse location, and you will get it right after you fight the Light Reaper. Now, it will be found very close by on a pile of bodies, and you wouldn't miss it, so don't worry about it. Now, this Yorick Ring's job is to add more frostbite buildup, to help the Kinranger's Guardian Axe to deal more frost buildup. You can also add this to make it even worse by adding, say, perhaps a frostbite salt, and this will really pump up that frostbite buildup that you're dealing from each hits. Now, to complete the set, we will need the Umbral Eye of Loge. I know it! You guys are probably bored of seeing this item on every strength build that I got. But to be perfectly honest, this is really as best as it gets. It gives especially strength users a huge power boost, as it synergizes extremely well with a big weapon. Because a big weapon's massive damage and its ability to completely negate posture break with the addition of its HP recycling ability just seems a bit too good to pass out. Now, long story short, big weapon hits really hard, the charge heavy cannot be interrupted, so it will pretty much always land, and all the damage that you take during the charging are withered health. So, when the attack lands, boom. HP comes back to you. Super magical, I know, but it is how it is. Now, the runes that we'll be slotting on the Kinranger's Guardian Axe is actually quite important, because this will actually help to make the build a lot more streamlined. And what we're gonna be doing is, we're gonna abuse the fact that frostbite buildup is, well, what we're gonna be focusing on this build. And we're gonna focus on its posture weakening effect. So because the Kinranger's effect on the rune slots are going to be strength, agi, strength, we can add 2 strength runes and 1 agi rune. Now for the strength rune, we can add the Rook rune, which can be abused to further on make use of a frostbite's posture weakening effect by increasing the raw posture damage of your attacks. You can get this rune by killing the Womb of Despair enemies. Now, This enemy is very common. You can find it almost anywhere in Umbral. It's gonna be one of those with that can kind of the butterflies, the butterfly mommy enemies. Now this is very common. This thing will drop very often, so don't worry. I have a lot of these. It's very common. For the next one, we'll be using the Agi slots, and for this Agi slots, we can honestly just put out anything that deals damage or increases your damage. This much is pretty much your call. I won't really talk much about this, and I will let you guys decide what's best for you on the Agi slot. Now, the locations for the stuff above. You will get the Kin Ranger Guardian Axe in Fiefs of the Chilled Curse at the very early part. So this is going to be the boss that's going to be guarding the Fiefs of the Chilled Curse entry. Now, in order for you to enter this place, you do need the Fief's Key. Now, this Fief's Key can only be obtained after you beat the Spurned Progeny in Upper Calrath. So you do need to beat this thing first, and then you're gonna go all the way back to Skyrest, and right here, where Ebb used to be, will be the key that you can get. Next will be the Warrior's Claw. Now, this Warrior's Claw is gonna be a pendant that you can get very close to the Ballroom Vestige. This is pretty much where you're gonna be going, and I'm gonna be showing you here just where to get it. Next will be the Endurance Ring. Now this ring is very simple to get. You can just get it right after you teleport to the Windmill Vestige. You can take a left and it's going to be hanging on a tree right there. As for the Umbral Eye of Loge, these two videos got the location of the eye. So just check it out on those two videos. I've done them already, and I don't really want to copy the same stuff out of those two videos on this one as well. I honestly think the build isn't really one of the most powerful that I have ever made. The build does have a couple problems, and that's going to be the fact that this build is probably going to be only good against slower single enemies that are big or just simply bosses. I think this build in particular really excels in just fighting single enemies and not in mobs. I think that this build is not exactly built to be broken or overpowered in the sense that it's gonna break the game or make the game easy mode. I do not think so. I think that this build is mostly for fun and for you to try out a different cool style of the game. I think the idea between the Frostbite and the synergy between the Frostbite and also the posture break is very smart. I think it's a very different dimension when it comes to building for this game. I think for now this concept of Frostbite posture building is still a very new concept that not many other content creators had ever made before, and I think this is one of the things that people really don't talk about. I think people are too busy talking about Radiance builds or Bleed builds or multiple stacking status builds. But I would say that There are many ways to make the game effective. I think there are many builds that are very unique in a way that you would take advantage of particular status, but not in a way that's so one-dimensional, not just for damage or for AoE. But perhaps it's going to make the game very special for you, and I'm pretty sure just by trying this build, I have felt that this had made me appreciate Grievous attacks a lot more. It had made me appreciate the art behind creating a very unique build. I think the idea behind the Frostbite posture breaking synergy is extremely undervalued and underrated. I 100% want you guys to check it out for yourself. And tell me on the comment section down below, how would you make this build better? And that's it from me. Have a nice day, guys.